A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism one letter at a time.
Hey folks, it's John from A is for Alcoholic. So this week is a little bit different. And this week, Jerry is off. He has spent the last week, well, the last many months, but the last week moving to Arizona. He has family down there, and so it's been a big transition for him, and he needs time to basically, unpack the life that he has just packed up. So all the stuff that comes with that, family and Christmas and all those things. And I was going to just put up a Patreon movie review episode, but I had some thoughts today, and normally I don't sit here and talk into the void. I much rather prefer, conversation, but I thought that it was, the thoughts kind of just rolled and they kept coming, and I thought that I would share them with you. If you are interested, patreon.com/AIFA. We'd love to have you there. Yeah. So he's in the middle of that. He's got the big steaming plate of reality, as we always like to call it, that he's working on. And I guess things do steam a little bit more in Arizona than they do in Oregon. So the thing with Christmas is that the holidays are hard, can be hard for everyone. They're not hard for everyone. They can be hard for everyone. But I think for alcoholics, both practicing and recovered, it's difficult because not only are we dealing with family situations, and those can be strenuous, not always, but I'm going to talk about mine. Family has always been something that's been difficult, that's been not difficult to be around sometimes, difficult to navigate, difficult to create a space and a time where we can all come together and do our thing. But more importantly, the holidays tend to, things tend to slow down. Our businesses close, our schools close, there's lots of winter breaks. Even the work that we're doing at work is often less than because everyone's getting ready for the holidays, and our focus is like shifted toward family and toward friends and often toward celebration, whether that be, Christmas or otherwise. And in those times, there's a lot of free time, right? There's a lot of extra time to, sometimes we drink, but I think for my alcoholic brain, it's a lot of extra time to think and not be distracted with the day-to-day, daily grind, that kind of stuff. And so drinking is very easily something that comes up for people. Hey, we'll just go have some drinks. Hey, I guess it's noon somewhere, right? Those jokey kind of, things we say to give ourselves an excuse. And it comes to me that this time of not having all of those obligations, of being free, and again, I'm 5 years sober or whatever it is, but it gives us a lot of time to reflect. And what happens is if we haven't made time to reflect and we haven't processed what we've reflected on, it's like, well, fuck it, we'll just drink. I'll drink. Well, I don't need to think about my feelings. I'll just drink, And so it occurred to me that we've been doing this all year. So this is not something that has kind of just been compressed into the 2-week winter break or, the Christmas and New Year's thing. And we now have, we've been doing this. So when I look back to times where I would wake up at 8 a.m. and crack a beer and go, well, this is as good as it gets. Might as well enjoy it. Might as well have fun. I don't want to think about anything. I feel like the lot of us, and many of us in different ways than others, but we've been sort of building up to this. I've had plenty of training. I've had plenty of days and weeks and months of either sitting in the house or trying to work part-time and feeling anxious about COVID and money and all of those things. And I think with the shutdowns this time around, I'm in a little bit of a better place, both, well, definitely financially, mentally, emotionally, prepared for it. I kind of know what to expect a little bit. A lot of the uncertainty is gone, at least in what I need to do on a day-to-day basis. Still shelves in the store. The toilet paper shelves are still empty in some of the stores, but it's as if I have a little more time to reflect, and I feel like that's an important part of the recovery process for me. That that in those times of reflection, I go, okay, why do I behave the way that I do? Or why do I choose to do this? Or why do I, just why do I do the things that I do, right? Well, what are my habits? And if I can kind of pull myself out of myself and reflect on this and look at this and go, oh, okay, I do that, and then I do that, and that's what I do at 10 o'clock, and that's what I do at 11, and that's what I do at 12. And even though I'd much rather be doing this, or I'm really glad that I do this now instead of what I used to do when I used to drink. And so this year, even with everything, I mean, I'm not going to see any family. I'm going to be in this house, in this room, alone. And not alone, but I'm going to be, by myself. There's no large groups to be had. There's no parties to go to. None of that business. But it occurs to me that in all of this time that I have been building, not only in the 5 years of plus recovery, but also in the last 9 months, that I've been building up a different set of tools of being able to spend more time by myself, of being able to find more and new creative ways to reach out to people and to make things happen and to connect with people and do the things that I still want to do and be safe and be comfortable and not drink in times of stress. I probably was closer to, financial. I've never been so financially scared in a very long time, and in fact, probably ever, than I was in March. And I learned that, oh, okay, I can make it out of that. And so what did I do? And who did I call? And what were the things that and so these tools start to accumulate over this last year. And I think about that as well as with my recovery. And I now can pause and take a moment and figure out those tools and use them and put them to use. And, I know that New Year's is coming too, and I have this natural inclination to turn the page on the calendar and want to have a fresh start. And there's a big pessimistic part of me that goes, well, it's not going to change anything. I look back like we thought the year 2000 everything was going to end, right? And so the turn of the page of the calendar is really something that I don't think is going to change things. And I don't want to necessarily indulge the pessimistic part of myself, because this is the Christmas episode that almost wasn't. But I also think that those changes, and we get exhausted from hearing this, but they have to come from within, right? So I have to be the one to change it. So it doesn't matter whether I start my resolution on New Year's Day, or if I start it in September, or if I wait until my birthday in March. None of this stuff matters, because it has to come from within. But I do want to look and sort of look on the brighter side of some of these things, and I've been so fortunate this year. I've had so many blessings. I've been so lucky. I have found ways of getting in and around and through obstacles that I never thought possible. I never thought that I would have to deal with these things, right? Because I can always bartend somewhere. I can always wait tables somewhere. I don't have to worry about money. If I'm broke this month, I can always go get a job somewhere else. And then come to find out, no, you can't figure it out. So in that, no, you can't figure it out, I figured out a lot of things, and there was all these blessings and all of these things that, that to me, I'm really grateful for, and I can't thank the people who have helped me enough. I really, really can't, because it's been a hell of a year, and I'm not even one of the ones facing some of the worst pain and suffering going on in the world right now and in this country. But that's not to say that I am completely and utterly in gratitude all the time. There's the phrase existential dread has been memed to death, and certainly this year. I mean, it's been memed for a long time now, right? But this year especially, the existential dread, the existential crisis. And it's very true when you think about it. It's a crisis to our existence. So I can't even think about, if I'm going to buy a new pair of running shoes when I have to worry about whether or not I can feed myself, and how many bags of rice are left at the store, and how many I should buy, and do I have 4 months worth of food, and blah, 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 blah. But I had one of these moments, and I was sitting here and I was working on some podcast stuff or some computer stuff. And the thought that came to mind was that this was everything that I was doing, everything that I had been doing, my life up until now was absolutely fucking pointless. That it was absolutely fucking had no purpose whatsoever, and it didn't matter. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. And that thought popped in my head, and I started to entertain it, and I felt horrible about it. And I was like, I wanted to lash out. I wanted to act out. I wanted to break something, but I'm the only one here. So any harm I'm going to be doing, it's going to be to myself. And I didn't think that was going to be the best. And then the thought came to my head, wouldn't a fucking beer be nice? Like a cold beer, like something frothy and, I don't know, I was probably thinking of something crisp like a Heineken but it wouldn't fucking matter, right? It doesn't matter what it is. 15 years ago, I still remember that morning, 8 a.m., it was a Budweiser. And that was one of those moments where I had the existential dread, and I was like, woke up hungover and like, well, this is as good as it gets, right? The sort of acceptance, and also the sort of giving up, like, this is as good as it gets, man, so whatever. And in that moment of wouldn't a beer be nice, I always do the thing where I play it out and go, yeah, a beer would be nice. And then you would have one, and then you'd have 3 and 6 and 9 and a bottle of vodka. And there's those 3 bottles of red wine you got at that party. And I keep them in the house, because they're good for gifts or whatever. And not to mention, there's tons of other liquor in here. I don't live alone all the time. And so there's other people's stuff in here. So there would be no shortage, and I'd be able to drink as much as I want. And then there would be broken relationships and friendships. There would be obligations that went undone. There would be unpaid bills, all the filth, then you stop washing your sheets and your clothes. And I would say you stop shaving and getting a haircut, but that's an actual choice that I'm making these days. we'll see how long it goes. But so I think that all the way through, and I go, okay, well, the beer's not the answer, and the existential dread about what is actually going to happen and how is the world going to end, and it's probably going to end today, and I probably should, that's the thing. If it ends today, I should have the drink. Maybe it's going to end next week, but it's going to end horribly, and it's going to be miserable and dystopian this, and end of the world that, and late stage capitalism, blah, blah, blah. And I go, wait a second. Okay, whatever you've been doing, you need to stop doing what you're doing. You need to go drink some water. You need to go outside. You need to go for a run. And I did those things. I don't think I went for a run, but I think I went outside and I just got some fresh air. And the thing that I've realized is that it's the relief that I want. That's in my mind, in my alcoholic mind, it's the beer, the wouldn't a fucking beer be nice, sits in for the relief that I actually want. And all of the work that I've put in, all of the tools of recovery that I have developed and gathered, it's like, this is what it's about. It's for these moments. This is my crisis in that moment. And, from the outside looking in, it probably doesn't look that bad, right? What's up with that dude just standing in his front yard sighing at the sky? Like, whatever. But we all know that, sure, it might look okay from the outside, but it's not always the case inside our own heads. So I had the tools, I did the work, and everything moved on. It passed, and I didn't feel so scared, and I didn't feel so worried, and I didn't feel so stressed. And so, I don't know, I think I probably went and ate an apple and just sort of took it easy. Stopped what I was doing and took a break, right? We all just need a break. Sometimes that's all it is. And it's just a relief. So I was really relieved to not have to have that beer. And I get it. Easier said than done. I say this a lot. It's true. But in recognizing that it was the relief that I wanted, that I could go and look for it somewhere else, was something that is so huge in my recovery and so big. And I don't want to, I'm not here to espouse any advice. I don't want to say, well, go ask for help. Look for somebody else to help. Get your gratitude list together. Because I don't think that that doesn't really help me when I'm in those moments. What helped me in that moment was knowing that craving for alcohol, that even 5 years on, and when I think that the obsession has been lifted, that there is a counter argument to that is now stronger than the argument for the beer. And so I think if you're listening to this, you might be interested in making today a little bit better than yesterday, right? Looking for some relief. And I don't, and if you're in some sort of program of recovery, if you have been for a short period of time or for a long period of time, you probably have some of those tools already. And in those moments of crisis, in those moments of, fuck existential dread, there's the alcoholic dread. That takes over everything. Who cares whether I live or die? I just need a drink, right? So I think in those moments you go, okay, well, wait a second, here we go. The war in my head is on. I need to get the troops together. I need to figure out what needs to be done. All right, this is something that there's something to combat those negative feelings. And that's the thing that occurred to me just about Christmas and about drinking and all of that stuff. And that I have to stop overthinking myself and just use those tools. Stop thinking myself into being feeling sorry for myself and being somebody who doesn't use those tools. And I don't use them perfectly all the time. And I still falter constantly, and I still feel guilt and shame for stupid things that I don't need to, for things I didn't do or should do. I should do. You know what I should have done? Gosh, you know what you should do, but I don't want to, so I don't. And then I feel guilty. And it's like, well, why didn't you just do it, John? Now you're a double loser because you knew what to do and you didn't do it anyway because you listened to the lazy part of you and, oh, and see, you're lazy, so now you're a triple loser. And so stop overthinking and go get the glass of water and go for the run and eat the apple and reach out to a friend and go do something fun. Or even, heck, I haven't done it in a while, but I've been thinking, wouldn't it be nice to play some video games? So any of those things, whatever those things are, finding those things that I can use to take myself away from the thought of drinking. This 5 years on, and I'm still thinking about drinking. So if you have those tools, know that you can use them and you can implement them whenever you want. And, you know, if you are somebody who's new to this, if you're seriously, if you are listening to this on Christmas Day and you're hungover and you've already had a beer, or maybe you're thinking about having a beer, or you're drunk and you found this somewhere, somehow, I guess I understand, because I was there and I remember the living room and I remember the kitchen and what a mess it was. I remember waking up on the couch, and the couch was one of those like itchy thrift store couches that kind of has like the brown and orange and yellow like plaid thing. We've all seen one or owned one at some point. And the old comforter that wasn't mine, and it just smelled like a boy's house, a 20-something-year-old boy's house, you know, it just, ugh. So I remember all those things, and I remember thinking, well, this is as good as it's going to get, so you might as well get fucked up. And it was only 8 a.m., and I was really hungover, and I was probably still a little buzzed from the night before, and so I decided to start drinking, and I did, and there were many of those days, but that's just one that I thought of, or I should say one that sticks in my memory of having that internal monologue, but not having anything on the other side. So if you're there, I can only say that I understand and that I empathize, and you know, I mean, aside from Jerry, I was the drunkest person I knew. So and I never thought that I would be here staring at a camera and talking to a microphone and telling somebody that it's going to be all right. But it's going to be all right. I've taken care of myself thus far, and I haven't let myself down to the point of, I'm not dead, right? I've been pretty bad, but I've always found a way to take care of myself, and I keep finding better and better and better ways. So, if you are just finding this new, I can only say that help is available, that you can ask for help, that there are plenty of places and people and ways, in 2020 that did not exist 10 years ago, 20 years ago. There's a lot. So reach out to me, A is for alcoholic @gmail.com. You can reach out to me on Instagram. I do my best to get back to everybody in a timely fashion. But if you need to finish the beer, finish the beer. It's fine. There's no need to feel guilty about it. We're alcoholics. We drink. That's what we do. That's what I did. So I get that. But I also know that when I finally quit, like, I could not imagine the stuff that I have done since getting sober was it was unimaginable in that I didn't even think about it, right? It wasn't even an option. It wasn't even in the scope of choices that I had to make. And so now I have that ability and those choices, and I guess all I'm saying is that you can have them too. You have them now. It's a skill like anything else. It's like learning to ride a bike or drive or write your name in cursive. People still do that. I don't know. I'm going to be 44 next year. I don't know. So all that to say is that the tools are available. There are people here to help. And reach out. Ask for help. Also, we'll be back next week. Jerry will be settled in somewhat, and we will be recording a fresh new episode for a fresh new year. And I hope you all have a great Christmas and a great weekend, and that whatever it is that is troubling you, that you know that you have within you the ability to work it out. And if you don't have the ability, someone else does, and they're going to be happy to help. So, Merry Christmas, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Stay sober. Stay well. And if you can't stay sober, you can always come back. That's the thing. That's the thing, is that we know, we know why you drank. We don't care. We know exactly why. We're just glad that you're back. So take care of yourself. Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you next year.
Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.